Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janabala Giridvaradhari. Gopi Janabala Giridvaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Janabala Giridvaradhari. Jai Gopi Janabala Giridvaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai Vishwabham Subhadaraja. Those headed to Śrīmad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Vishwabham Subhadaraja. Those headed to Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Sarati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Go Premanandi. What is it, text 14? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, 9th Canto, Chapter 19, King Yayati achieves liberation, Text 14. Najatu kama kamanam, upabhogena samyati, avishya krishna vartmeva, Bhuya eva bivartate. Najatu kama kamanam. Upabhogena samyati. Havishya krishna vartmeva. Bhuya eva bivardhate. Najatu kama kamanam. Upabhogena samyati. Avishya krishna vartmeva. Bhuya eva bivardhate. Vaishnavis. Na, not. Jatu, at any time. Kama, lusty desires. Kamanam, of persons who are very lusty. Upabhogena, by enjoyment of lusty desires. Samyati, can be pacified. Havisha, by supplying butter. Krishna Vartma, fire. Iva, like. Bhuya, again and again. Eva, indeed. Abhivartate, increases more and more. Translation: as supplying butter to a fire does not diminish the fire, but instead increases it more and more, the endeavor to stop lusty desires by continual enjoyment can never be successful. In fact, one must voluntarily cease from material desires. Purport: one may have enough money and enough resources to satisfy the senses, but still not be satisfied. For the endeavor to stop lusty desires by enjoying can never be successful. The example given here is very appropriate. One cannot stop a blazing fire by trying to extinguish it with butter. Translation again: as supplying butter to a fire does not diminish the fire, but instead increases it more and more, the endeavor to stop lusty desires by continual enjoyment can never be successful. In fact, one must voluntarily cease from material desires. Om Gyanachimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this verse totally negates the objective of society today. What passes as civilization is a futile attempt to attain satisfaction by constant material enjoyment. The fallacy is that because I have material desire, there must be material fulfillment. Otherwise, why am I having these material desires if fulfillment is impossible? The fact that I have material desires lets you know that satisfaction is possible. But Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is saying no. You can never be satisfied by trying to fulfill material desires. Just as you can put drops of butter on a fire, you can see at the marriage yagyas, initiation yagyas, put ghee on the fire gets bigger. But somehow or other we think our material desires are exempt from that process, from that reality. We think that there'll be satisfaction. So as I often point out, we think over here is material desire. Over here is fulfillment. And all we have to do is put the two poles together, put the two ends together, and life is successful. We think that. We imagine it. when actually material desires are always over here and satisfaction's always over there. And no matter how we try to push them together, it doesn't work. How did King Yayati understand this? He had everything. He's 8th in the line from Brahma in terms of descendants. He's coming from the line of Atri Muni, one of Brahma's sons. Yet, he's showing such a dramatic example of someone thinking he'll be satisfied, and it never happens. He's giving personal testimony. For thousands of years, I've tried to satisfy myself through material enjoyment, and now I can see it's not happening, and it will not happen. He got himself into a predicament, and he was cursed to have premature old age. Sounds horrible, doesn't it? When you're in the peak of your life, peak of sensory strength, and you're cursed to be old. Obviously, he was in a very difficult situation. And the priest, Śrīmad, who cursed him, realized, well, he's married to my daughter, and if he becomes prematurely old, that'll affect my daughter. So therefore, I'll give him a special escape route. All you have to do, Yayati, Śrīmad told him, all you have to do is get one of your sons to trade their youth for your old age. What happened next is history in the making. Yayati turned to his oldest son because traditionally the oldest son carries the authority of the father. Even today in some of your traditional households, that's still the case. It's fading, the tradition's fading, but the notion is still there. So he turned to Yadu. Is Yadu Prabhu here? No. He turned to Yadu, who is the founder of the Yadu dynasty. And he said, please take my old age, give me your youth. Yadu refused. Why? Was it because of selfish, materialistic reasons? No way I want your old age. I've got to enjoy. That wasn't Yadu's thinking. His rejection was based on Dharma, that I know that in the future, in the dynasty that I begin, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will appear. So therefore, I don't want to delay the appearance of the Lord by becoming premature old, and then later in life, I know my father will give my youth back, but it'll delay the whole process. And also, I don't want to be in family life at the end of my life. I want to go through it now. So he had two reasons. I don't want to be an old man and starting a family. And also, in my family line is going to be the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We don't want to delay that. So for all those reasons, no, I will not take your old age and give you my youth. So then Yayati turned to some other sons, and he said, will you please accept my premature old age, and you give me your youth? And they responded based on adharma, irreligion, that we want to enjoy, we don't want to be old, forget it. We've got a whole future program of material enjoyment plan, and old age doesn't figure into the plan. So their refusal was based on selfish reasons. Then Yayati turned to his youngest son, Puru. And Puru gave a very extraordinarily beautiful answer. He said, I am not a qualified son, because if I were truly a qualified son, you wouldn't have had to ask me. I would have anticipated what your desire is, and rose to the occasion. But because you had to ask me, that means I'm not a first-class son. A first-class son knows the desire of the Father and acts on it, even without being asked. Second class means you got to ask me, and then, of course, as a loyal son, I'll fulfill your request. Third class is, I'll do it, but I hate it. I'll do it with resentment. I'll follow your order with regret, great hesitation, great lamentation. Fourth class son, I won't do it at all. I won't even consider it. So Puru's answer is often used to show the ideal of disciple behavior with the spiritual master. Understand the desire of the parampara. In our case, we're trying to understand Srila Prabhupada's desires and how to best fulfill them. And we're always trying to think ahead. If this situation happens, how can Srila Prabhupada be pleased? If that situation happens, how can the parampara be pleased? So Puru's example is good for family life in the Vedic tradition, which you don't see much of it anymore. Even in Bharat, it's fading. And Puru is demonstrating how to be an ideal disciple. So he took Yayati's old age. He knew also in the future, Father will give me my youth back. But still, he was fulfilling the order, the desire of his father. So now Yayati is a young man again. And as you hear, his program was material enjoyment for thousands of years. And now he's confessing, I have not attained any satisfaction. And this chapter, King Yayati Achieves Liberation, is revealing the mystery, the paradox of material enjoyment. It looks so fulfilling, it looks so satisfying, but that goal is never attained. But you're addicted. The whole process of material enjoyment is addictive. Even when you get some slight realization that you're not satisfied, you can't stop. So in this chapter, Prabhupada is presenting the classic Vedic Varnashrama solution. Pancha Sordvam Vanam Vrajet. When you're 50, that's it. Finished. Sometimes householders tell me, why that Vedic injunction? After 25 years of marriage, there's finally peace. And then you got to walk away? We've been battling for 25 years. And then 50 years old, you're supposed to retire? That's when that's when peace finally breaks out. This is the classic Vedic system. It assumes that the man marries when he's 18, maximum 25, and then spends 25 years, and that's enough. Give the wife some sons and move on. So Prabhupada, several times in this chapter, is advocating the classic Vedic system. You have to voluntarily walk away from it. Voluntarily desist. So Yayati is giving a song to his wife in the form of a joke. Let me tell you about the he-goat and the she-goat. And it seems to be an innocent, humorous story, but Devayani, his wife, gets the point after the end of the story. Yayati tells her, I rescued you from a well. It's a long story in the previous chapter of how Devayani, by one of her envious girlfriends, was thrown into a well and abandoned, an empty well. And then Yayati comes along and sees this beautiful girl in the bottom of the well, and as a Kshatriya, noble and chivalrous and respecting Dharma, he extends his hand to help her climb out of the well. And she says, "Well, you have touched my hand. That means you want to marry me." This is the classic Vedic system. Nowadays, what is it? Touch my hand or not doesn't mean anything. You may marry me, you may not, so what? Don't worry about it. But in the classic Vedic system, everything is precise and disciplined. So Yayati accepted. Yes, I've helped you out of the well. I've grabbed your hand to pull you out of the well. So yeah, let's marry. And besides, you do look very beautiful. But he got into problems with his wife's father, who was Śrīmad. Often Śrīmad sides with the Asuras. And in this case, Śrīmad was concerned that you did something that wounded my daughter, therefore I'm going to curse you. So that's how Yayati became cursed with premature old age, and then he had to talk to his sons about who's going to accept my old age and give me their youth. But now, after thousands of years, this is not Kali Yuga, obviously, the lifespans are much longer. After thousands of years of trying to satisfy a fire by drops of ghee, Yayati's noticed, my desires are simply increasing. What to do? And as we heard in the previous verse, a person who is lusty cannot satisfy his mind, even if he has enough of everything in this world, including rice, barley, and other food grains, gold, animals, and women. Nothing can satisfy him. So note the example is given of natural resources: gold, rice, barley. Nowadays, what would they say? Bitcoin, property investments, titanium, cobalt. Bhagavatam is showing you what is real wealth. Just like when Vamanadev is encountering Bali Maharaj sees, "Oh, you're such a beautiful young Brahmana boy. What do you want?" And what was Sri Vamanadev's answer? "Just give me 3 steps of land." Bali Maharaj was astonished. "You obviously are an inexperienced Brahmana little boy. You don't know how to ask for a benediction. You don't know how to ask for charity. I can give you anything. Mounds of gold and silver, elephants, Brahmana girls for you to marry. And you're only asking for 3 steps of land? You don't know what you're doing. But anyway, if that's what you want." What was Vamanadev's response? He gave a loud hint. Someone who's not satisfied with 3 steps of land won't be satisfied if he possesses even the whole universe. You're about to lose it, Bali. So in that discourse between Bali Maharaj and Vamanadev, again, the same principle that lust and greed can't be satisfied by attainment. It sounds so counterintuitive to us, doesn't it? If I get what I want, I'll be satisfied. What is the problem? I want this, I want that. The fact that I have senses, the fact I have abilities, the fact that I have resources means they should be used to get what I want. And then I'll be satisfied. But this chapter, in which King Yayati is going to achieve liberation, points out that just because you have the ability, just because you have the resources, doesn't mean satisfaction will follow. So in this chapter, Prabhupada describes materialism as a disease, which affects the core of your being. It affects our heart. And therefore, there can't be mental satisfaction because of this core disease. And this is what Yayati is revealing to his wife. I'm never satisfied. Finally, I realized I can't be satisfied. I've got to give this up. I've got to change my program. So he puts together this story of the she-goat and the he-goat, which resembles the history of what his wife and him went through. He's telling her, I rescued you from the well when you were trapped, thrown in there by an envious girlfriend. I rescued you from an empty well. And what did you do? You repaid me by throwing me in the well, the dark well of sense gratification. So I rescued you from the well, and you threw me into a well. But now, not only will I have rescued you from the well, but I will also rescue you from material life. And part of the program in rescuing her from material life is to explain this extended allegory of the he-goat and the she-goat. You can study this chapter, as every chapter of Bhagavatam is, and you'll find such purification, because what it's telling us seems so counterintuitive, as I said. It seems so natural. Desire and fulfillment. Desire, satisfaction. The whole of the Western attempt at civilization is based on this fallacy. If you can get to the bottom of this one, you save yourself so much trouble. And you save a lot of money, too. Because we think, I want resources. And with resources, I get what I want, and then I'll be peaceful. And we always tell ourselves, and we apologize to ourselves and to others, I'm not asking for much. All I want is, and then fill in the blank, right? How many of you have said that? All I'm asking for is, and as if just because all I'm asking for is that material acquisition, I'll be satisfied. Not possible. This is a hard lesson to learn unless you have undergone repeated hearing. And that's what Yayati is bringing about. He's instructing his wife. And at the end of his instruction, she realizes, he's talking about us, the he-goat and the she-goat. So Yayati now walks away from it all. And she takes his instructions, and not only does he attain liberation, but she also attains liberation. This is the power of potent association. So you may ask, how did Yayati drop it all so quickly after futile trying for thousands of years to satisfy himself? How could he just walk away from it, drop it immediately? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out, Yayati actually had the association of Ambarish Maharaj. So you see, Yayati is 8th in the line from Brahma, through Brahma's son Atri Muni, and Ambarish is 8th in the line from the son of Brahma, Marichi. So somehow or other they were contemporaries, they somehow or other rubbed shoulders. And so by the mercy of Ambarish, Yayati had something good going for him, and therefore he was able to just walk away from his entangling situation. So Prabhupada explains in the chapter that it may seem astonishing that someone can do that. But then we find the footnote, so to speak, that due to the association with Ambarish Maharaj, Yayati had that spiritual common sense that I'm not going to be satisfied. Let me walk away, and in that way I'll benefit my wife and myself, because she followed him in terms of spiritual cultivation. Now, does this mean you all are supposed to walk away from your homes? Walk away from your families? Let's remember the example of the Kurma Brahmana during Lord Chaitanya's tour of South India. Lord Chaitanya had a program. Whoever crossed his path, Lord Chaitanya would glance upon him, sometimes embrace the person, and surcharge that person with Krishna Prem. And then that person would go back to his village and meet other persons. They would be surcharged. And then people from neighboring villages would come to that village and become surcharged. And this way, a whole chain reaction was set off that covered all of South India. So this, what you're going to hear, how Lord Chaitanya interacted with Kurma Brahmana, is an example of a program that he did throughout South India. So he was at Kurma Kshetra, where the Kurma deity is. And one Brahmana invited him, please come to my home. The Brahmana's invitation was done with great respect, showing classic Vaishnava culture. Please come to my home for lunch. And so Lord Chaitanya did, and the Brahmana's whole family bathed Lord Chaitanya's feet and drank the water. One day, if we can taste the water that's washed the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And so then the Brahmana served lunch, and served a very sumptuous lunch respectfully. Kaviraj Goswami points out again that the invitation was done with great respect. The serving of the lunch prasad was done with great respect. And then after lunch, Kurma Brahmana made his request. Your lotus feet are meditated upon by Brahma, and now those lotus feet are in my home. Now my whole life is successful. My janma, my kula, my dana. Evidently, the Kurma Brahmana was an aristocratic Brahmana and was prosperous. But he said, now my aristocratic birth, now my family, now my wealth is all blessed because you are here. And then he made his request. I can no longer tolerate the waves of material enjoyment. I want out. Take me with you. And what was Mahaprabhu's response? Don't talk like that. Just stay at home, cultivate bhakti. If you do that, material life will not obstruct you. If you do that, we'll meet here again. In fact, if you do that, you'll always be with me. And that's when Lord Chaitanya gave the famous instruction, Jare deko tare koho Krishna upadesh, amar agya guru hoya taro edesh. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach the science of Krishna on my order. So Srila Prabhupada gives extensive purports about how it's not necessary for everyone to walk away from their home if they use their home as a base to teach others about Krishna. If they use their home as a base for Krishna Upadesh, instructions, how to attain Krishna, how to please Krishna. In fact, Srila Prabhupada tells us that if this program is pursued to its fullest potential, even you're living in a big city, still your home can turn into Vrindavan and Navadvip. And we see that peak potential in the life of Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur in his song, Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu. He describes how he's doing arti in his home, to his home deities, and he sees the whole home turn into Goloka Vrindavan. He's showing you the peak potential. Of course, Bhaktivedanta Thakur is no ordinary person, but still, we should not overlook the fact he's showing the peak potential of bhakti, what is possible. So Lord Chaitanya departs from the home of the Kurma Brahmana. Kurma Brahmana followed Lord Chaitanya a bit of a distance, but Lord Chaitanya sent him back. And then Lord Chaitanya had his pastime with Vasudeva, the Brahmana Vasudeva. The Brahmana Vasudeva heard that Mahaprabhu was at the home of Kurma Brahmana. So Vasudeva, who's a leper, shows up. He's a leper with sores all over his body with worms in them. And as you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, every time a worm would drop from one of the sores, dropped from the sores on his body to the ground, Vasudeva would pick up the worm and put it back. He's clearly far from being on the bodily platform. So he comes to the house of Kurma Brahmana expecting to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he's told, sorry, Mahaprabhu has left. What was Kurma Brahmana? What was Vasudeva Brahmana's reaction? He fainted on the ground. While he's on the ground, unconscious, Mahaprabhu returns and embraces him. And Vasudeva is astonished. How can he embrace me? Even my bodily odor drives people away. What to speak of my leprosy? And he's embraced me. And by the embrace of Mahaprabhu, Vasudeva's body became totally beautiful, free from disease and very beautiful. So Vasudeva's first concern, and he's teaching us a lesson, his first concern is that I'm going to get puffed up. Look at me, I got a beautiful body and I'm healed. I'll be proud. What to do? And Lord Chaitanya responded, yes, as long as you chant the Hare Krishna mantra constantly, you will not be attacked by pride. And then Lord Chaitanya asked him, in so many words, you want to repay me? Here's what to do. And Mahaprabhu gave the same advice he gave to Kurma Brahmana. Teach the science of Krishna, and in that way, you'll repay your debt to me. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada reminds us, he says, and you have to think about this because you might think, well, he's not talking about us. He says, every member of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been rescued from an abominable existence. No. Right? You were all very pious, right? We may think we are very nice, very pious, very traditional, but according to the standards of the Vedas, everyone in Kali Yuga is fallen. Manda sumanda mateo, manda bhagya hupadruta. Right in the first canto it is stated, we're all mandas, super slow about spiritual advancement. But we think, oh, I'm such a Paka Vaishnava. We should remember what we've been rescued from. Even if we were, which is doubtful, even if we were absorbed in punya, pious activities, still that is considered fallen. It is not bhakti. So the purport emphasizes that we should think how to repay our debt by doing what Mahaprabhu told to Kurma Brahmana. Wherever you go, whomever you meet. This doesn't mean you have to fly all over the world. Your family, begin with that. Your neighbors, begin with that. And if Krishna wants to give you facility to travel the world, you can do that. But the point is, somehow or other, where you're at right now, begin. And that's the beginning of paying your debt to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Yayati started with his wife. He made this fantastic story. He didn't just, okay, it's over, do you understand? I'm walking. No, he made this whole very poetic presentation, very cultured, very artistic, so she wouldn't feel thrown out. He presented her an allegory, and she herself got the point. Oh, I see. He goat, she goat. Sounds familiar. So in the midst of all this education, we are being educated. In the midst of this education that Yayati is giving to Devahuti, we are becoming educated in a point that we need to hear again and again. Material desires cannot be fulfilled. They have to be purified by being engaged in Krishna's service. That's a better solution than just stopping. Stopping is better than going on, indulging, but stopping is not the lasting solution. The lasting solution is to act for Krishna's pleasure, and that is the whole bhakti program. Therefore, Mahaprabhu gave that program to Kurma Brahmana. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach the science of Krishna. So throughout Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we get this lesson. How about Sudama Brahmana? Because Vasudeva is going to quote Sudama Brahmana. Vasudeva the leper, in marveling over his transformation, is saying, who am I? I'm a Brahmana Bandhu. I'm not a real Brahmana. He's quoting Sudama Vipra. And who is he? Sri Niketana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full of all opulences. Yet, he's accepted me as his friend. So Sudama Vipra is on his way back home from Dwarka. You all know the Leela, why Sudama Vipra went to Dwarka, pressured by his wife, who was right. Get some money, we're starving. Their family was so devoid of wealth that she's trembling from hunger. So she asks her husband, your friend is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, don't you remember? And Sudama tells her, I'm nothing special. I may have gone to school at the Gurukula with Krishna, but I'm nothing special. I'm very fallen. She didn't give up. He favors the Brahmanas. I'm not a real Brahmana. He favors the devotees. I'm not a real devotee. This goes on for a while. Finally, she tells him, look, go to Dwarka and let him see you. Because even if he doesn't give you anything, his associates will see your condition and give you something. Just show up. She's trembling not only from hunger, but she's trembling from fear. Because she's asking her husband, who's a pure devotee, she's asking him, go see the Supreme Personality of Godhead and ask for money. And she knows her husband doesn't like this. He doesn't like approaching Krishna for material benefit. But Sudama took it as an opportunity to see the Supreme Lord. He said, I'm not so concerned with the money, but my wife's pushing me. Just to keep the peace at home, I'll go. And especially, it's an opportunity to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he went. And you know what happened in the palace of Rukmini. And then he's leaving the palace. Krishna is walking with him. We explained a few weeks ago at the initiation yajna. Krishna, to honor a saintly person, you accompany the saintly person to the door. So Krishna accompanied Sudama Vipra, showing how to respect a real Brahmana Vaishnava. And so then they part from each other. And what does Sudama think? What does he say? How glorious it is that Krishna gave me not one penny. How wonderful is that? How many of you would have said that? He didn't give me one penny. He knows that if he gave me the slightest amount of wealth, I'd fall down. How glorious my Lord is. He gave me nothing. And what is Krishna thinking? Krishna's thinking, I don't have enough wealth in my possession to give him. He gave me some handfuls of chipped rice, which he didn't even have in his possession. He had to go beg it from neighbors. So I have to reciprocate. I have to give him something more than what I have in my possession. But everything belongs to me. What am I going to do? If I give him the wealth of Indra, it'll not be enough. So the Acharyas give the example that just like the farmer does his yagya for rain, and the rain is hesitant to rain during the day because the rain is thinking, I can't reciprocate enough with this farmer's yagyas, so I won't show up during the day. I'll rain at night while the farmer is sleeping. So this example is given for Krishna. My devotee has sacrificed so much, has given so much in bhakti. Oh, these 4 handfuls of cheap hard rice, but the bhakti behind it, I can't repay. So therefore, I can't give him anything when he's in the palace talking to me. But when he gets home, there'll be a big surprise. Now, the secret of Sudama Vipra is that he had a little material attachment, not for possessing wealth, but for being an austere, renounced brahmana. We're not attached to having, and we're not attached to not having. Krishna noted, you're too attached to not having. I'll fix that. Of course, we'll all say, yes, let's be fixed in that way. Jai Shri Krishna. But in order to appreciate what Krishna did with Sudama Vipra, you have to understand that bhakti is the real wealth. All right, any questions? Yes.
Krishna.
Since Maya Devi is
her energy inherently good, bad, or balanced, or does it change, like, according to the choices we make?
He's asking about Maya, and is she good, bad, or
does it change according to the choices we make?
she's doing service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by keeping insincere persons away. Just like a business person or corporate executive has a PA, personal assistant, receptionist, and he or she vets the persons who want to see the big man. So Krishna is a person. He's the biggest. He's Purushottama. So he has someone at the door making sure that persons who are not qualified don't get into trouble him. That's Maya's job. So for Krishna, that's good. But for us, if we don't take shelter of Krishna, Maya is big problem. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Well, after her, please. Oh, the microphone has to come all the way over here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. Maharaj, you mentioned that the material enjoyment can be very addictive in this material world. Even if we don't get any material happiness, we still want to enjoy. So Maharaj, how can we alert ourselves in a way that we don't get discouraged? Because we see we've been reading these points, hearing these points in every lecture again and again. But when we have to implement it, it becomes very difficult.
What's the difficulty?
To be implementing that, this is material enjoyment and, we shouldn't go for it.
Constant hearing. Because the illusion is so great that if we delay or postpone our hearing and chanting, we become overwhelmed by the illusion. It's too powerful. Krishna himself says that. Daivyesha gunamaye. Mamamaya dharaya. This material energy of mine, this Maya, is practically impossible to overcome. But we think, what? It's possible. Look at my education. Look at my family. Look at my job, my business. I'm overcoming. But sooner or later, and it's often sooner, we find out that all material attainments crumble in our hands like dust. Constant hearing is the solution. Just like you come to Bhagavatam class so often. That's the best protection. Otherwise, you could think, now I'm a teenage girl. I can be independent. I can do whatever I like. The world is waiting for me. But by regularly attending Bhagavatam class, all the inauspicious things in the heart become purified. So that's why in this chapter, King Yayati achieves liberation. Srila Prabhupada refers to materialism as a disease. We might think it's just something innocent, it's just a phase everyone has to go through before they renounce when they're 70. It's a disease. When you have a disease, you want to get rid of it as quick as possible, as thoroughly as possible. Yes.
Learn from this verse that the material desires one cannot satisfy by the material fulfillments. So, is there anything called spiritual satisfaction also, or a devotee, one should look forward to satisfaction?
Spiritual satisfaction means satisfying Krishna. So we're always praying, oh Krishna, how can I satisfy you? Water the tree at the root, all the branches blossom. One day that'll click. I remember seeing Srila Prabhupada at a Rath-yatra in Berkeley, California in 1975. And he gave that same example. He said, I've said it so many times. Water the tree at the root. Bring the food to the mouth and the whole body is nourished. I've said it so many times. Suddenly it clicked on me. At least for that moment. It clicked. I got it. We have to hear it again and again and yet again. Because it's our conditioning, it's our material disease that I should act for my own enjoyment. And then I have to control the situation so I will enjoy. And those twin problems of control and enjoyment bring us so much trouble. And the heart is never satisfied. So if you want peace of mind, you have to deal with this illusion that there's such a thing as fulfillment for the endeavor of material enjoyment. So that's why you have 9 cantos of Bhagavatam to prepare you for the 10th canto. So this is a great mystery, and that's why Yayati made this allegory for his wife, because otherwise it's difficult to understand. But she got it. Oh, he's talking about us. I'm the she-goat, and he's the he-goat. Yes.
We hear happiness coaches talking about gratitude journal or expressing gratitude as a way to make happy, and that's their solution for not finding satisfaction. Would you be able to comment on that?
You're listening to happiness coaches?
It was for a talk.
Good excuse. We should know what is real gratitude. Yes, that's what you're concerned with, gratitude?
Just that concept that she was saying, that she gave her own example, that she tried very hard to be happy and she
Yes,
had
yes.
everything and she
Yes.
couldn't be happy.
So then when did she supposedly become happy?
She said, I changed my life when I started being thankful for the small things in life.
That is true on the material plane, but the way Maya works is, sooner or later, what you're expressing gratitude for, some material thing, turns out to cause lamentation. Oh, I'm so grateful that this person is in my life. Then 2 years later, get out of here. Or if you're from India, you don't want a divorce, but you figure out some way to coexist without talking to each other in the same house. That's the nature of the happiness and distress cycle of material existence. But yes, express gratitude on the material platform, but it's much better and much more worthwhile to express gratitude on the spiritual platform. So if anyone has helped you in your spiritual life, never let that person forget it. Whether it's your parents or friend or mentor, never let that person forget it. Always express gratitude. Thank you. So that gratitude principle works fully and purely in bhakti. Yes.
Thank you for the nice class. You mentioned about how you mentioned the word the direct Krishna's relationship as a means to pay the debt to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that payment of the debt, does that happen in just our endeavoring our best in trying to outreach, or is that actually dependent on the success of how many devotees made or the books distributed?
The success is that you try. That's the success. Krishna asks you to try. The results, that's up to Krishna, but Krishna is watching the effort. I remember as a 7-day-a-week Sankirtan devotee in New York in the mid-70s, I tried and I tried and I tried. But I couldn't distribute more than a few books every day. But the temple leaders notice he tries so hard, we'll make him the Sankirtan leader. It's the effort to fulfill the request of Mahaprabhu that is the success. Just like our global book distribution minister, Vaisheshika Prabhu, always points out, if you, just by your walking out the door and your feet touching the footpath, that's success. You got out the door. Whatever else happens after that, all glories. But you stepped out the door with the intent, let me try. Success. Of course, while doing practically 0 books, going out 7 days a week, I met so many persons who became devotees. But I was a foolish young devotee then. I didn't notice that. I thought, my scores are not big. I'm useless. But I didn't notice, in my foolishness, I didn't notice that so many persons I met on the street became devotees and are still devotees today. Because now I understand. So just try your best and let Krishna use you as he likes. Yes.
Maharaj, you mentioned about the addictive nature of material enjoyment, and we also see the misery that follows that with material enjoyment. Whereas on the other side, spiritual enjoyment or spiritual practices are pleasure-giving and the pleasure increases. But the addiction where the pleasure is so limited gets caught up with us so quickly. We get addicted to those things which are very, very, they give pleasure for a very short time. Whereas the spiritual activities which are supposed to give pleasure, that is increasing. To become addicted to that, it takes very hard work. Like a lot of hard work required for that. Why such a design, or mind naturally questions that this is a very complicated design.
Struggling for material happiness is hard work. So even if you say you have to struggle for spiritual happiness, that's hard work. Don't forget, struggling for material happiness is hard work, and you'll lose it all. If you do get it, you'll lose it. But if you get Krishna, That is your eternal asset. Actually, even the Acharyas explain, even in the beginning stages of bhakti, there's a whiff, there's a fragrance of Krishna prem right in the beginning stage. It's not anywhere near the full impact of once you get to bhava and beyond, but still there's something there even in the beginning stage to encourage you to go onward. And what do you get from material endeavors? You work so hard, you struggle, you tolerate, and then you lose it all. If you ever got it, most of the time you don't even get what you want. But if you do get what you want, you lose it. Pointless. So learn from Yayati. He's giving a very deep instruction based on his own life. He said, I tried for thousands of years. It didn't work. Now he's moving on. He went back to Godhead. He became an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so did his wife. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.